Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode 6, titled Fits, or at least F.Z.Z.T. This episode initially, with it being F.Z.Z.T. and it, if you say it out, it's Fits. I thought it would be more about, Fits and, some random situation that he was going to be dealing with, that focused solely on him. And while it's partly him, it's not solely about him. And it seems more like it's about Sims than it is about him. He of course has this moment because they are, a coupling. Everyone when they are called, it's basically Fit Sims. It seems like one person. But this episode, it started off. It seemed like it was going to be about Fitz too, where he's, trying to talk to Sky about, basically trying to subtly, mention how he likes her, try to get her to like him and convince her that, hey, maybe the two of us should be together. You kind of ditched your old boyfriend. Ward's giving you like the super cold shoulder, and I find you attractive, so date me. But it kind of goes off into the normal formula for the episode where there's a problem, and the team has to solve it. And instead of it being a person or an organization, it's a virus. And like pretty much every episode, there is a tie to the films. And in this, it was a lot more prominent because they mentioned like they have the helmet from the movie for the Chitari, and this virus itself is from them. So it's a greater tie, but at the same time, them talking about it, being a virus and stuff, that's completely separate from the film because they were just like, hey, we're aliens with flying speeder bikes and guns. But in this, it's about them having a foreign alien virus that's new to Earth, and it's causing people to die off, and it transmits through static electricity. So it was pretty cool. It was a different take on like basically the enemy that the team had to face. It was a virus, and it led to a really good ending. It was very emotional, and characters they were freaking out because everyone thought Sims, she was infected. They thought she would die. And it was really good, and I thought she would when she jumped out of the plane. And well, I didn't, because of course they showed that the mouse was healed like right before she did it. But it was still cool to see her like drop out of the plane. And I thought, like, okay, even though she's obviously gonna end up being saved, it's still really well done. Just it just adds to it at least a little bit. It's not like, oh, we solved the problem. And I really thought she was gonna die, which I thought that would be, it would suck, but at the same time, that'd be amazing writing to have a surprise like that, so early on in the show, where one of the characters actually dies off. And I really thought that because I heard recently that we were actually going to be getting a new squad member. So it made me think maybe, this new member would be replacing her because, she died off. So, they just have a replacement come in. So that it really had me worried because of that too. But it was just really well done, and I enjoyed the episode. It had its typical funny moments, and something I enjoyed was when Sims was infected. Fitz was trying to be funny and trying to keep things lighthearted because that's him, but at the same time you could tell he was obviously worried because his best friend is infected with this virus, and they're the only two who can figure out a cure, and they haven't found one, and she only has hours to live pretty much. So I enjoyed the episode, and when Fitz is about to basically jump out of the plane, I was really hoping, and I wish they kept it this way, or I wish they did it this way, I should say. But I would really wish he was the one who jumped out of the plane. And I understand, Ward's the typical agent character, and he has a pretty good moment in this episode too. Aside from him, growing to basically accept the fact that Sky is, really working hard to, prove she's on S.H.I.E.L.D's team. She was given the super cold shoulder over and over again throughout this episode, and then he eventually comes around and sees that she's just trying to prove to him, because everyone else has already accepted the fact that she's trying. So she eventually does get to him, and he says himself, he feels useless because he wished that instead of it being a virus, he wishes it was like a super powered super villain, or super crazy villain that he could protect everyone from, but instead it's a virus. And he's like, I can't protect you guys from something I can't even see. So it's kind of cool to have that aspect. It was a really small moment, and that was like the only one he had, but it does show that he really does care about the team, and he feels bad because in this specific aspect, he's not, the super agent, how they mock him in the beginning of the episode. He's not that guy during this episode because he's just not, the chemist or scientist who could just whip up a cure for a virus. So it does make sense that he ended up being the guy who, jumps out of the plane at the end because he had something he could do. And it was funny, when they had Fitz basically say, like, I was going to jump out of the plane, I just couldn't get the, strap on at the same time, or, in time and stuff. But I really wish he was the one who did it, because it would have a much greater impact than if, Ward doing it, because he's the typical super agent guy where it's like him jumping out of a plane. It's special, but at the same time, it's not that special because he's always the one doing something really insane where he's like fighting a bunch of people or shooting somebody and running down the street and this and that. And it would have been great to see Fitz, step into that role because his best friend, she like was about to sacrifice herself in order to save the people she cared about. But it was still really well done, even if it wasn't Fitz. I really wish it was so bad. Like, I don't know, it just would have been better to me. But love the episode overall. It was just, it had its, it was like two separate stories in one, really, because like I said, it started off with the typical story, and then they pretty much solved the problem. And we also get, a little bit of Coulson realizing that he's not, Coulson. And when he's talking to the guy, the last guy who ends up dying, he's talking to him about how he's different. And then when Sims, they believe Sims is going to die, and they have their protocol of basically dumping dangerous cargo, he talks about how he died, and, people say it's for 8 seconds or 18 seconds or whatever. But, it's much longer than that. And, him being back, he feels like a completely different person, and he has the whole physical, and he constantly lies to people until, of course, the end, and he tells me the truth. But he knows something is different about him, and, he's kind of basically cataloged everything that's happened throughout the episodes, like, him not being able to, basically, I'm not sure, I don't remember exactly what he was doing. I think it was just like, pop the bullet out of the chamber for the gun. When he mentions, I think that was episode 3, and he says, like, it used to be so much easier, man, I'm just getting rusty and stuff like that. And he's kind of kept a log of all those random things, and he's like, something isn't right, even though all this medical stuff says I'm okay and I'm perfectly fine. I know, in my gut, I feel something different. So he's kind of getting closer and closer to the truth, whatever it may be. But once again, I'm sure we still won't get that for quite some time. But it was pretty cool to see the fact that he does realize, things are different. He's not the same person. So it's kind of cool to get that too. But the episode overall, very different structure. 2 stories in one. They had their sort of, villain, and then they solve that problem, and then they have an internal struggle with, possibly losing a member of the team. So it had a really good emotional impact, and everyone was sad and stuff. And they didn't have, a huge connection where, everyone had their moment, but it was still good overall because, of course, they had a specific time limit, unless they decided to just, split it into 2 parts. But overall, I think it was really well done. Only gripe about it, once again, is, Ward being the one who jumped out of the plane. But because of his comment about how he, wants to be that guy all the time because that's all he's good at, it does give him that purpose. And it was kind of cool to see him come around the sky, so we won't have to deal with him just being mad at her the whole time because of last episode. But Love the episode, so comment below, let me know what you thought of the episode, favorite parts, least favorite parts. Did you really think she was gonna die? Were you on the edge of your seat or something? Comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.